Hi everyone, I'm Yarmouth Town Manager Scoot LaFlamme.
And I'm Yarmouth Town Councilor Karin Orenstein.
And welcome to the first of a series of informational videos on our work with the Royal River. Together, we've been working with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers as their project study team as they've explored opportunities for enhanced fish passage along the Royal River.
And throughout this process, we have gotten a lot of questions. So hopefully in this video series, we'll start to answer those.
So Karin, tell us a little bit more about how did we get started?
Well, about a decade ago, we sent them a letter saying, would you be interested in checking out the Royal River for an aquatic restoration project? And about 7-8 years later, they wrote back and said, yeah, we'll look at it.
Better late than never.
Yeah. So they started with what's called a federal interest determination. And that's where the federal government says, well, are we really interested in looking into your river? Is this worth it for us to get involved in? And the criteria that they're looking at are from Section 206 of the Water Resources Development Act. And that's why we talk about it as a section.
The Section 206 project.
Exactly.
Right. So Section 206 seems a little scary. What does that mean?
So Section 206 says that the government would be interested in a project if it would have a good impact on the natural environment, be in the public interest, be cost effective, and for Section 206, the whole project has to come in under $10 million.
I suspect that we passed that test, right?
We did. So in 2020, we got the federal interest determination, and it says that we passed that test.
So with a federal interest determination, there had to have been some sort of public or environmental benefits that came about. Can you talk a little bit more about what those were?
Sure. The Army Corps found that restoration of the Royal River could restore access to up to 135 miles of the river for reproduction and early life habitat for a variety of species. So we're talking about herring, alewives, shad, eels, sea-run brook trout, and more. And if we remove the barriers for those fish to get upriver, it would also provide overwintering habitat for 2 species of sturgeon that the federal government cares about. By having more fish in the river, it would also benefit mammals and birds that prey on these fish. And in addition, a healthy, moving river would have improved water conditions.
So are we looking at the full 135 miles, or is it a smaller segment? How far are we looking?
So the scope of the Army Corps project is just over 7 miles of river habitat. It starts at the head of tide and it goes up to Baston Park in North Yarmouth.
We've gotten our federal interest determination.
Yes.
The federal government has said that there's a positive impact to the environment, there's a positive impact to the public. What comes next?
So what we're in now is called the feasibility study. We entered into a contract with the Army Corps to do the feasibility study, and what they do in that study is they look at all the alternatives for restoring the river. They look at the environmental impacts of those alternatives, and they look at how much each alternative would cost. And then they come up with a recommendation in a report they give back to the community.
So we've entered into a contract with the Army Corps of Engineers for this Section 206 study. That's going to cost some money, right?
Oh yes.
Who pays for that? How much does that cost? Is there a cost split? Tell me more about that.
So the way it works is the federal government pays the first $100,000, and this includes the federal interest determination where they say, is this even worth looking at for us? And once that $100,000 has been used up, the rest of the feasibility study is split 50-50 between the Army Corps and the town.
If we end up doing some improvements to the Royal River, who pays for that?
So if we follow the Army Corps' recommendation and we hire them to do the design and implementation work, basically the construction work, at that point, the bill is split 65, 35%, so 65% paid by the federal government, and 35% that we have to come up with. It doesn't mean that taxpayers in this town are going to foot that bill. We're going to look for foundations and grants and other federal agencies that have money available for water restoration projects.
We'll talk more about the project implementation and maybe the future of this project in future videos, so be sure to continue watching.